Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming. I am the majestic Snare. This is my disembodied voice, which is only marginally, very slightly more popular than Dinglebot. But I could be pushing it. So here we are, guys. Now, I've been making a lot of Warframe related videos recently, but I wanted to do something very close to the actual release of the new expansion for Destiny 2. Partly because I'd already paid for it, buying like a special edition, which I did kind of enjoy getting, and did enjoy the game to start with. But because I've already paid for the expansion, I thought, why not play a bit, give you my first impressions, and kind of just get it all out and done with, because I'm not going to be spending a lot of time with this, really. I'm too invested in Warframe. I will say that at the outset. Okay, I'm a Warframe fan. I'm no longer a Destiny 2 fan, but I tried to come to this objectively and have a feeling of what they're offering in Warmind, the second expansion. Now, right off the bat, I know that cutscenes and kind of the cinematic side of the Bungie, Blizzard, Activision effort has always been quite strong, and the same applies here, but you kind of just get the trailer again to open up the mood of the game. It's not terrible. I did really like how it kind of looked and kind of gave you a bit of an epic feeling, but at the end of the day, it's just a cutscene. It doesn't warrant, you know, the money you might have had to spend on purchasing this expansion. I don't know how much the expansion actually costs, because it came free for my season pass, as probably most people. Now, just to set the scene, if you've been living under a rock, Destiny 2 started off with okay scores from reviewers, but also then a lot of people having some backlash about some practices of stifling XP and throttling it, but not actually telling you what was going on. And then there was the whole microtransaction stuff and Tess Everett's shop and everything else, and so it all became a bit of a shit show. The trust evaporated for Bungie, and they have now become the kind of the obvious example of what not to do in kind of MMO type games where you have, you know, microtransactions and whatnot. It just feels kind of an empty, not full world, and you're being asked to pay money to get things that aren't really worth it, in my opinion, etc. So that's in a very quick nutshell how Bungie and Destiny 2 is kind of standing in the gaming community right now. So I've thrown about 2 or 3 hours into this, and I'll explain why it's so short. But basically, my video here is going to be a short first impressions kind of video. I'm not going to be talking an in-depth review, certainly into lots of the other aspects of the game and the expansion that we'll be talking about here. But first of all, I want to mention one thing. It's still fucking boring. Okay, most of the levels that I've played, or a couple of the missions I've played, they were almost on rails, just from point A to point B with killing some enemies, but I could stand well back and I could just have a shooting gallery experience. They didn't actually hurt me for the most part. I did get hurt later on, but I also just had to just stand there and shoot. It wasn't challenging, or it didn't make me feel like I was doing any kind of god mode, you know, feelings of amazement. It was just the same thing as before. I didn't really expect anything different, but it was just really slow. Some enemies come out, you kill them, you get a bit of speech from your ghost. That's it. That's kind of what happens straight away. And the slowness is something that really bugs me, because after playing Warframe for quite some time now, over 350 hours, I have noticed that I really am addicted to the movement and the speed and the movement, the dynamic movement that you get in Warframe, and where you come into Destiny and you feel like you've had the brakes pulled on, and suddenly everything is like mega slow. I mean, even while sprinting, I didn't realise I was sprinting because it's so slow. It's a fast walk, you know. Whereas Warframe is like the 100 meters. Destiny, well, quite frankly, it's power walking. Come on, guys, it's embarrassing. That being said, it's obviously a different kind of game. It's not going to have the same controls and movement, but quite frankly, my hands are conditioned now to playing Warframe, and unfortunately the button I use to slide in Warframe is also the grenade button in Destiny, so kind of this was happening quite a bit.
But there's a whole lot of not safe between us and the Clovis Spray facility, which is where we need to be. Which was
really irritating, but that's just a problem I have. That's no reflection on the game. Now, to make it subjective, I do have to have some positives in here, and that is that the area you're playing does actually feel bigger than the Trials of Osiris first expansion that we had in Destiny 2. This one feels like it's actually a fully fledged area, although it is still on Mars, so we've kind of seen it before. And another thing we've seen before is the fucking enemies. Once again, so after what, 4, 5 years, however long Destiny's been around, I suppose it's 4 years, and the 2 expansions on the second game, we are still fighting, not even reimagined, just regurgitated enemies. And this time, they've got a bit of frost armor or something. Do you know what? I don't even fucking care anymore. But once again, nothing's changed. We're fighting the same goddamn enemies that take in the hive, but now they've got a bit of frost on them, and they're not different enough. They're not a sequel worthy type enemy. They're just the same. We mentioned this in the original Destiny 2 video, but 2 expansions we haven't had anything new, not even a tweak, you know, to a new character type. This is the same stuff, different palette, different colours, different armor sets, but they're just the same thing. And to be honest, I was expecting something special. Trials of Osiris was very vapid and empty. There was nothing to it. You could do the whole DLC story mode very, very quickly, and you could do it in probably about 2-3 hours. I've been seeing other reviews of Warmind, and they are similarly a few hours long. I don't think that's enough for 20 quid's worth of entertainment. I'm assuming it's about that price, because I think the Trials of Osiris was that price. I really think it's just a bad thing to have in a DLC where it's not exciting enough. Things are just the same. That's not a DLC. That's not an expansion. Expansion, do you know what that means? It means more stuff. Not the same stuff again. I don't think they understand what the fans want, and I don't think they understand what the fans need. This was the chance to make Destiny 2 relevant again and to recover some of that trust that they've lost. Unfortunately, they've failed. Absolutely failed. I gave it a shot. I wanted to get off and stop playing it as soon as possible. I only continued to get some footage, and while wasting time, I also managed to do this, which was amusing to me, if no one else.
Now, when you warlocks say magic, do you really mean magic?
Already rezzed and on his way.
So after a couple of missions into the story campaign of the expansion, I came across kind of I wouldn't say it's a level cap, but it certainly stopped me wanting to push and grind, because it was saying a level cap of 330 sort of power level to do a certain mission. I was only 315 I think at the time, and I thought, you know what, I can't be asked to grind that level up so I can play this particular mission. I didn't have much time to actually play with it before making this video, but I thought I'll give it a good shot, a couple of hours in, and to be honest, I don't think I can bring myself to do any more grinding for that game. I'm quite happy with the grind I do in Warframe. I feel like I could get something from that, but when you take these engrams back to the Cryptarch in Destiny 2 and you open them up, oh, the satisfaction just evaporated. I forgot how insulting it is to take those secret packages back, the cryptograms, and open them up and realise that it's not actually worth doing, but it's one of the only ways to get, well, it is the only way to get the gear really, apart from mission completion. So there's that. Another good point is something we expect from Bungie in a Destiny game is that the textures in the world do look great. Some of the detail on some of the artifacts in the game world, they've taken some time on it. I appreciate that. I will say that they still have done that in this expansion and these areas, but it's just not enough, is it? It's just one piece of a puzzle. Now, I did like in Warframe to like working on a full jigsaw puzzle, work around the edges first and then filling in a bit in the middle. Destiny, unfortunately, is like, it's a little bit like ones you give to 4-year-olds that are made out of wood. They look really nice and, you know, they're appealing, but it doesn't take long before you're bored with it and you've done all 4 corners of the 4 pieces on the jigsaw puzzle. You know what I mean? It's not got much substance to it, that's all. I think what this expansion really has confirmed to me, it's one of my fears that what they can do with Destiny is that they've already had these expansions written in while they were making the main game, which I think is potentially a problem. It's constricting. It's basically saying, here's what we're going to set out. We're going to drop Trials of Osiris really quickly, keep the buzz going, and then we're going to give them the actual proper DLC at the end of the season pass kind of season. That's okay, but I think we'll actually see any decent changes if they're going to make any, which I fucking doubt. But if they're going to make any changes, it'll be in the first fully paid DLC that everyone will have to fork out money for. That model seems to work for them. I don't know if it's going to work this time because people are now wise to Destiny in the sense that it's not fun. They've tried to bring people back. We're making some changes. I don't know what effect that has had. I'm only speaking from personal opinion. I've gone back to try the Warmind expansion. I haven't enjoyed it a great deal. The characters are interesting. The setting is kind of an idea, sort of with somebody knowing who they were before everything, before they got brought back to life. I'm sure that the Destiny lore guys, like My Name is Bife, etc., which I do have enjoyed his videos in the past, people like that will probably have a lot to talk about and a lot to delve into inside the lore, but I don't think it's got much substance to this expansion. I think we'll see the next big chunk when you actually have to pay for the next bit. So how do I see this in a little bit of a summary, because I've tried to do a bit of train of thought thinking, blabbering here, but basically I think that Destiny 2's expansion of Warmind isn't what it should be, but it's what I expected it to be. Very, very light touch on the changes to any enemies and any kind of real challenge in that respect, apart from the level cap maybe. That's a little bit challenging. It's got the same enemies with a small tweak. It doesn't feel much different. You know, it's just another part of the grind. The grind isn't satisfying. You'll find yourself being really irritated and putting it down and maybe leaving it for a few days. You wouldn't actually, I don't think you'd be grinding this crazy. You'd probably spend about 4 or 5 hours tops on the story mode, and then you'll end up grinding for those bits of gear you can't get. They've made changes that I haven't seen since I last played, which I don't know if it's part of this expansion or just before. The Tess Everest shop has now got a function where you can collect stuff you haven't got from her before with your engrams that you pick up. They do throw a lot at you at the start, again, just to try and give you the sensation, oh, I could get some good stuff if I bought some real money worth things in Destiny 2. So that's abhorrent and I don't like it. The new area you're playing in does actually have a bigger area than the previous expansion, Trials of Osiris, but it's not hard. It was about the size of a fucking postage stamp. The earlier missions do feel like they're on rails. You can stand back and just shoot, but it's in a lot of corridor related areas, and you're still fighting fucking ogres, which have been in the game in every single boss fight version of Destiny and Destiny 2 I've played. There's been a fucking ogre. I've fought at least 2 of them so far, and I've only played the first couple of missions probably for around 2 or 3 hours. Just saying, I'm a bit sick of ogres. Just putting it out there. Well, I hope that's been insightful for you guys. I'm not a massive Destiny 2 fan anymore. They really kind of lost my my patronage when all the news started popping up about their business practices, as well as the game being quite empty and not really satisfying. I found Warframe and my life changed. Okay, that's as quickly as I can put it. I'm not going to be sitting here bashing Destiny. If you enjoy Destiny and you enjoy playing it with your friends, etc., then more fun and more props to you, because that's what games are about, playing with your friends. I just don't want you to get caught up spending money on things you don't need to be spending and you shouldn't be spending on, and that means stuff in Destiny 2. It's not something you should be spending any money on. The grind is there. If you enjoy that, great. If you enjoy playing with friends, great. If you enjoy doing it solo, great. If you enjoy the story, great. I'm not going to shit on your ideals, okay? All I'm saying is, from my perspective, it's not worth people spending money on. I don't think it's worth your time or your effort, and certainly from a personal perspective, Bungie does not deserve your love. Okay, they don't care. They don't care about this game anymore. This might well be the last one we see. They're halfway through, or almost halfway through their 10-year journey, and it's not working for them. So whether they cut the losses and buy themselves out of a contract, who knows? But this could well be the last Destiny game we ever see. And to be honest, if I'm perfectly honest, I don't care. So there's my views on the second expansion from Destiny 2, Warmind. I wasn't that impressed as a whole. I think you've probably got that already. But guys, don't forget we have videos coming out every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. We have something coming out, a nice review actually, this weekend. Next week you'll have Lee entertain you with some beautiful videos of something. I don't know what he's going to do yet. But in a couple of weeks time I'll be back doing some more Warframe stuff. So please let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see in that respect. So guys, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you again soon. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.